Ancient biblical scrolls function like a meticulous ledger. They trace lineages, mark birth dates, and count the years lived with a specific focus on the inevitability of death. This stylized family tree visualizes that pattern. Thousands of names are anchored by two dates, treating human mortality as the definitive, inescapable statistic of the record. But within this exhaustive record-keeping, the data suddenly shifts. In 3 specific instances, the narrative stops following its own rules. These branches belong to Enoch, Elijah, and Melchizedek. They're the only figures in the text whose accounts never conclude with a recorded death. This raises a specific investigative question. Why would a text so obsessed with documenting human mortality deliberately omit the deaths of these 3 men? The first dossier belongs to Enoch, a figure placed at the very beginning of human history. He had a direct connection to the origins of the lineage, serving as Adam's great-grandson. This diagram compares their lifespans. Because of their overlapping chronologies, Enoch and Adam lived on Earth at the exact same time for 308 years. Beyond his connection to Adam, Enoch is recorded as the father of Methuselah, the longest-lived man in the entire biblical record. The text explains that because of an intensely close relationship with God, Enoch was simply taken straight to heaven without dying. This wasn't a grand display. It was a seamless transition, described as if a man walked off the face of the earth and into another realm. The second case moves from ancient peace to a period of deep political peril. This is the story of the prophet Elijah. Elijah operated in a hostile environment, spent years in hiding, and was hunted by tyrannical kings. When his time on earth reached its conclusion, the circumstances were the opposite of Enoch's departure. At the moment he was to leave, a fiery chariot pulled by horses descended through a massive whirlwind. This whirlwind physically pulled Elijah upward, bypassing the dying process entirely through a violent atmospheric event. If Enoch's exit was a peaceful walk, Elijah's was a high-speed rescue operation, extracting him from a world of enemies. The final case file, Melchizedek, shifts the mystery from a missing death to missing biological origins. He is traditionally recognized by 2 titles, the King of Righteousness and a High Priest. Despite his high rank, there is no record of his parents, his birthplace, or his end. He appears in the text without the usual human markers of birth or death. The text describes him as the Son of God, an entity who lives forever without experiencing the human aging process. Melchizedek functions as a permanent enigma, an ageless figure who remains present in the theological framework, completely untethered from the rules of biology. Viewed together, Enoch, Elijah, and Melchizedek represent a deliberate fracture in the established human rulebook. This diagram shows their distinct paths. As these lines rise and shatter the barrier of mortality, they demonstrate that within this ancient text, death is not a universal certainty. These entries function as intentional anomalies within the record. By leaving these 3 men missing from the list of the dead, the authors planted secrets designed to leave the reader with a sense of curiosity. If this foundational historical record documents 3 men who never aged and never died, we have to wonder what other impossible mysteries are still waiting to be discovered within the text.